Okay, it's break time. Been doing Chariots of Fire, and I want to do something kind of light. This is Landslide. I've played it recently, though I'm not terribly up on the rules, but luckily there ain't a lot of them. This is your, standard kind of family-style Parker Brothers game. Very few rules here. It's an electoral politics game. I guess it represents a primary because it holds 4 players, but I'm not sure. It's not really clear here. It's claiming to be a non primary game of general election. And yes, it's possible to have a general election with multiple people, but they blow away the rules for that and say, well, the guy who gets the most electoral votes at the end of the game wins. Okay. And that's a reasonable simplification if you don't have the House of Representatives to step in. All right. So you got these different kinds of cards, and you got these vote. Yeah, those aren't. You've got vote cards, which are sort of like money in this game. You're going to be bidding them, and you draw them when you land on certain spaces. You have state cards, which indicate which state is in play, and those are going to be divided into 4 different regions: northeast, east, south, west, and midwest. Then you have these politics cards, which are sort of event cards that happen, and they can be very, very potent. Like this one, steal a state. You're able to just grab a state with electoral votes from an opponent. And these come up from the politics card spaces. You get to hold them in your hand, and they can be a very, very potent swing in the game. I've only played it 2-player opposed, I think. I'm pretty sure I soloed this before I got this copy. I have another copy at my mom's house, I think. All right. So this is just a roll and move. You roll the dice, you move around the spaces. When you land on one, you take the effect of that space. If you land on a state space, you draw a state. Let's see, here's a state space. A state of that color. So this would be a western state. And you get to look at it. And then it goes up for bid from all the players. You're going to be using your votes in order to bid. And the highest bidder gives those votes to the player who drew the card. So when you draw a card, you get the bucks for it, essentially. The exception being if you win the state that you drew, in which case you pay the bank. It goes back into the deck. Let's go over bidding. It's pretty simple clockwise. You must exceed the other person's bid. It has to be at least 250,000 votes. Okay, so one thing with bidding, though, you're not allowed to bid more than you have. And if you find out that you have, there's a penalty for that. Well, actually, it doesn't say you're not allowed to. If you do, you must forfeit your most valuable state, which is returned to the board and shuffled in. If you have no states, your highest vote card is returned to the board and shuffled in. And then beginning bidding's over. So there could be an advantage to this, and you're allowed back in the bidding even after that penalty. But you can also cash states in as part of your money for a bid or your votes for a bid. So this state comes with 400,000 votes. Once I have it in front of me, once I've won it, I can exchange it in a purchase for 400,000 votes, essentially. So let's say I bid 1,400,000, I could turn these in for it. There's not going to be any change when I spend something. So sometimes you want to bid exact amounts, but other times you kind of want to bluff, make it seem like something's not worth as much as it is by bidding less than maybe the cards you have in your hand. And you still have to pay as much, but, well, it's an advantage. Okay, so some of the other options. Open ballot. Let's see if one of these is around here. This is an important space. When you land on this, you can pick a state of another player, and it goes up for bid among all players. The person who owns the state gets any cash for it unless he wins it, in which case he has to pay the votes back to the bank. Secret ballot, somewhere. There aren't a lot of these, I guess. There's open ballot. There's a secret ballot. Okay, secret ballot. When you land on this, 4 state cards, one from each state deck, is auctioned blind. All 4 cards are placed face down in the center of the board, and they're up for bids in a single auction. The high bidder gives the popular votes to the player who landed on the space. So if you land on this, people are going to be bidding as much as they would in the, it counts as 4 states. So you can get quite a pile of cash off this. On the negative side, you don't get to see the states, which you normally do when you draw them. But it's kind of an interesting situation there because it's purely secret. It's one of the weird things in this game is one player knows what that state's worth and can bluff and everything, and everybody else is just kind of bidding blind. Well, in this case, everybody's bidding blind. All right, home state. When you land on someone else's home state, the person whose home state it is, so for example, this would be the south player. Each player is going to be aligned with one of these regions. Gets to draw a card from you. If you land on your own, you get 2 from the board. The drawing a card from someone can be a very powerful effect because there's very valuable cards which you tend to hold on to, and your hand gets very small, and then that rich $5 million card or whatever is in a nasty place where it can be pulled easily. Politics space, you draw the top card for the politics deck. You may follow the instructions at once or hold it for future. There's stop cards, which can prevent an action, which are pretty potent. So if you land on a space you don't like, or somebody else lands on a space you don't like, you can cancel it out at that point, or you can cancel out their politics card. One effect on politics cards, you can't play them once bidding has started until somebody has won the bid and taken their states and paid for it. Win votes. Win votes gives you a draw from the vote pile. Fly anywhere allows you to move to any space you like. Now, you can only go once around the board, and it counts as though you are passing across the board, which is important because if you land on your own home state card space, you get 2 vote cards, but if you just pass it, I failed to tell you this, you get 1. Okay, your state cards, once you win them, are going to be face up, open information. Whenever cards get returned to the trays, votes, states, whatever, they get reshuffled immediately. This is kind of a pain. It means you're going to be shuffling the vote deck quite often. I'd rather not do that, although it can have a definite effect to hold off on it. Politics cards are supposed to be returned to the bottom of the politics decks, which means it doesn't get reshuffled, it just gets cycled. I think I'm going to probably play it with a normal discard roll with a reshuffle at the end if it happens. And the game ends when the last state card is acquired by a player. Whoever has the most electoral votes wins. This can create some interesting situations because a person who's not doing well may try and avoid to purchase that to cause that late state card to come up. That's a tricky thing to do, but there are certain ways of engineering it. All right, well, we're gonna give this a shot. I really enjoyed it in 2, which seems kind of strange for a purely auction and bluffing game. There's a little unbalance in 2 if it's because, well, there's an unbalance no matter what, because certain home areas have advantages. So for example, I was playing, I think, the East, and there's a secret ballot next to my home. Actually, maybe I was playing the West because it's blue. There's an open ballot next to West, which is very powerful for this reason. If you land on the fly anywhere space, you often will fly to certain spaces. Your home state is a possibility, so you can draw 2 cards, 2 vote cards. Alternatively, though, the open ballot is a possibility, so you can target, especially in 2 players, your opponent and force them to pay for one of the states they already own, or else be able to steal the state for very few points. A state like California, if they don't have a lot of money, you can basically steal from them fairly cheaply. All right. Anyway, it was a fun game in 2. And I remember enjoying it when I played it solitaire before in 4 players way back when. So I should enjoy it again this time, right? We'll see.